Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. Welcome, welcome. I am Rosemary Levesque with Second Nature Healing and Avini Health. This is our heart-to-heart coaching weekly call that we do on Zoom, and I just love that you are here. I love that you're interested. And today's topic, I've been thinking about this a lot, and as you know, with the work I do with energy healing and the work I do with Avini, with that kind of healing, there's a lot of crossover. There's a lot of well, it's just not cut and dry, right? There's energy, and there's how do we support the body so that it can heal physically, emotionally, spiritually, energetically. And so everything comes down to, or up to, vibration. And it made me think of an author and a book, and I'm going to go ahead and share. I was telling people before the call, this is kind of sciencey. It's written by a doctor. And if you don't have this book, I think you can get it at the library. It's called Vibrational Medicine. It is by Dr. Richard Gerber. And he has more than one book. This one is Vibrational Medicine, the #1 handbook of subtle energy therapies. Now, he talks in his book about energy therapies like flower essences and, and like what I do, Reiki, energy healing, that kind of stuff. But the core of all of it is energy. And we're talking magnetic frequencies, we're talking electromagnetic frequencies, we're talking about radiation, everything is a vibration, color, light, sound, everything is a vibration. And so how does that relate to Avini and our heart-to-heart coaching? That's what we're going to talk about today. And before we started, I had to look something up in this book, a definition, because I wanted to make sure I got it right. And the more I read, I was thinking, oh my gosh, I have to reread this book. This is so important. He talks about miasms, M-I-A-S-M-S, miasms. I don't know, maybe you pronounce it miasms, but I think it's miasms. And as I was reading through it, I was saying, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, this is so important. The problem with miasms are energetic tendencies toward illness. So I'm going to repeat some of the things here. Let's see. Miasms represent a totally different concept in the mechanism of illness causation. Although, for example, miasms may be acquired as a result of an infectious agent. Do we know any infectious agents the whole world was exposed to recently? Yes, okay. The infection itself is not the miasm. Even though the disease-causing organism may be eradicated by antibiotic therapy, subtle energetic traces of the infectious agent may persist at an unseen level. Now, there's a whole lot more to that, but did you get what I just read?
Mm-hmm.
That even though you might have gotten rid of the infection, whatever that infection was, that you might be cured or healed or whatever, there are energetic traces left. That's a miasm. That's subtle bodies. These disease-associated energy traces are incorporated into the individual's biomagnetic field and higher subtle bodies. The miasms reside there until their latent toxic potential is released into the molecular, cellular level of the body, where disruptive changes or illness may manifest.
Okay.
In other words, even though it's over, It's not
Not
over.
over.
Let's just think about this for a moment. Okay, let's just say somebody had, I'm going to use cancer as an example, right? Cancer. Somebody had cancer. They went through all the medical stuff of chemo, radiation, surgery, blah, blah, blah. They survived. They managed to survive for 5 years. They call that a cure, right? If you, right, Bev? If is that a medical phenomenon? If you last 5 years, if you last 5 years beyond what the date they say you're cured, do they call that a cure?
I don't know. They're pretty. They've changed some definitions since, but
Okay.
they cover their just so they don't say cure too much anymore.
They don't.
But
Probably because of the miasms, right? The
mhm.
traces. Okay. So thank you. And then after the 5 year mark, something comes back. It's very often that something comes back. It might show up in a different place on the body, but it's the same energy signature. It's the same dis-ease, right? Because of multiple reasons. One, there's an energy signature of that hidden in the cells. And I didn't even finish reading this yet to you. I'm going to read a little more. There's a hidden energy signature in there, plus all of the toxins that they gave you in order to combat this particular problem, right? The poison to kill the bad cells, which, can you blame them? They were poisoned to begin with, which is why they went awry. And then, all the radiation and all, whatever they put into your body that you haven't cleaned out yet, you've got all that energy signature too. So what this author, what this doctor is saying is that there's a subtle energy body. Let's see. However, the delayed illness which occurs is different than the one associated with the original disease-causing agent. Miasms weaken the natural body defenses in particular areas, creating a tendency toward manifesting different types of illness at a later time. Acquired miasms may be caused by exposure to a variety of noxious agents, including bacteria, viruses, toxic chemicals, and even radiation. There's so much more. I bookmarked something else. Are you okay with me reading from this?
Mhm.
Thanks. Yeah. Do you find this helpful?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, good.
I keep relating it to it. Oh, silver would help that. Oh, our cell defender helps that. Oh, oh,
Mhm.
oh. That's where I go.
You're exactly right, Bev. You are exactly right. So here we are talking about vibrational medicine, and and I haven't even scratched the surface yet. I'm going to put the book down for a minute because we could be in there all day. So there's another author. I don't think his book is still being published, but you can find it on Amazon. Some libraries may have it. My library does not have it. You can actually get a free copy of it online. And if you can't find it, ask me for it. I will send you a PDF for the whole book, but try to find it on your own. The author is Robert O. Becker. Robert O. Becker. It's an old book. And he wrote a book called The Body Electric. Some people may have heard of it. Yeah. And when I started rereading that book recently, he was in his introduction talking about being a medical student when penicillin was discovered. So you know how old that book is, right? All right. But the body electric, and what he's saying is we are electrical beings. All of the biochemical reactions are based on charges, just like our zeolite, our cell defender, Detoxolite, is based on charges. And it is because our cell defender has a negative charge, our Detoxolite has a negative charge, that we are able to grab these heavy metal positive charges, right? So that's electric. I'm also thinking about our nerves in our body. Nerves are very much like an electrical system in your house, where there's a wire and it's got plastic wrapped around it so that you don't shock yourself if you touch the wire, right? But our nerves are very much like that. And they have this core to it and then a myelin sheath over it of tubulin. And when the tubulin doesn't form anymore because mercury's hanging around, then the nerve short circuits, doesn't work anymore. So yes, you are electrical, vibrational beings, and we need to start looking at health and healing as a vibrational thing. Now, this is where I hang out. This is my place. You know, I have tuning forks all over the house. I have crystals all over the house. I've got my Avini products all over the house. I wear crystals and I practice energy medicine. I'm a licensed spiritual healer. And that's all because of this vibration stuff that is real. Why is it that no medical professionals in modern medicine out there in the world are talking about this stuff? Why do you think they're not talking about it? Isn't this important? I'm looking at the publication date. This one was published when he was born. Oh, he's as old as I am, born in 1954. Okay, copyright 2001 for this particular edition. Yes.
We are 1.4 volts of electricity biologically. Each human cell is capable of producing 1.4 volts of electricity. That's a lot.
Why aren't we using that to light up our houses? I always said that about my dog's tail wagging. Why can't we harness that energy? Right? So we are energy beings, and we have an electromagnetic field around us that generates us into physical form. We are light beings that have a physical body. Most people turn that around. Most people say, oh, you're a being and you have an aura and you're casting out this light. Okay, well, maybe, but you're a light being and it manifests into physical form here. So as a light being, are you taking care of your light body? To take care of your light body involves getting rid of the miasms, the energy signatures of things that you have encountered in the past, infections that you may have had, toxins you may have acquired. Gee, that highlights two products right there, right, Bev?
Yes.
How do you get rid of things that are growing in your body or did grow in your body but don't belong there? You know, like the parasites and the yeast and the bacteria and the viruses. How do you get rid of that? What product do we have for that?
We have Cell Defender, and now we have Nano Silver.
Both of them, both. Before we had Nano Silver, we only had Cell Defender, and that worked really, really well on all of those things, parasites and yeast and all of that. That's what we were using with that in mind. But now Nano Silver will get to those living things and maybe even the energy signature of those living things. Wouldn't that be interesting? I'm sure it doesn't say that on the label. And we can't make that as a claim. But wouldn't it be interesting to think about yourself as an energy body, that you could support the energy body in a way in which it would heal faster? Yeah?
Mhm.
Okay. Because we're not saying nano silver and detoxolite cell defender. We're not saying these things cure anything. We're not making that claim at all. We're just saying we can support the energy body so that we can vibrate at a higher level. Because what you looked up, Star, the 1.4 volt.
1.4.
Okay. Who is that? Your average Joe Schmo out there in the world? Or an Avinian, a person who's been detoxifying for 18 years?
Yeah.
Because the vibration of a person who has been actively removing heavy metals day by day for nearly 18 years is going to be vibrating differently than Joe Schmo, who's never heard of Cell Defender. And if somebody plugs in Joe and plugs in Rosemary or Star or Bev or Cindy or whoever, and they find out, gee, the vibration is different, the voltage is different, we can measure subtle differences. Joe Schmo, I hope that's not really somebody's name. The vibration of Joe Schmo, who has never had the advantage of pulling out heavy metals and has maybe struggled with different infections or experiences, toxic experiences, and breathing fumes and making poor choices like processed foods and smoking and, whatever. That vibration's going to be down here. Mine's here. Yours. Here. You want to be here, right? Because if you're here, you're not dealing with the miasms quite so much. The miasms that have a lingering trace of a vibration that, if we were to continue reading, you would know it influences your DNA. It shows up in your DNA. And what do we know about DNA? DNA goes from one generation to the next generation to the next generation. So generations down the road have a bit of that same DNA that was affected by those same things. Did our ancestors have problems with infectious diseases in some era, right? Before penicillin, for example, plagues and sanitation and all that. We have that. That's in our DNA, unless you clear it. So product-wise, we really like our nano silver. It's going to get rid of all of those living nasties that don't belong in our pure energy vessel that we're calling our human form. The cell defender is going to get rid of all the inorganic, and some organic. It's going to get rid of mercury, cadmium, lead, arsenic, aluminum, bismuth, blah, blah, tin, all those. Plus, it will work based on concentration. It will take out some of the larger organic molecules, the flame retardants and plastics and the benzene, petroleum products, things like that. It will get to that. It's priority based on charge, which is heavy metals. So those are two products that I don't know if anybody is talking about, but you have your hands on something magical that works on an energetic level. And you can add it, if Dr. Richard Gerber knew about what we had, he might write a new book. So maybe it's time for all of us to share with the people that we know about the energy value of what we have and how it can actually erase those energetic signatures based on the information we're getting from doctors like this who do energy medicine, based on that, can we fundamentally heal? Can we heal at an energy level unlike any other possibility? Because we're using different words, a different language, a different thought process. Yeah, this is heavy stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you enjoying this?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have some questions? Questions about this?
I have a quick question, Rosemary. You were talking about ancestry and DNA, and with the products being able to, erase the energetic signatures. I know time frame, we don't have an exactness to that, but what is the possibility of that?
Very possible.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Are you aware? You are aware. I know you are. Everybody's aware that there is a subject called genealogy, right?
Yes.
Yes. And in genealogy, these people go back and they trace the ancestry all the way back to the Garden of Eden. You know, if you're Mormon, that's where you go, right? Is the first one. And whether you go back to there or not, it kind of doesn't matter. There are genealogists who find the ancestry, who find the bloodline. And DNA is DNA, right? And yeah, things happen to DNA. You're combining it with other people's DNA. You're combining it with new experiences. You're combining it with new different foods and different medicines and different thoughts and processes and different experiences. So a lot of things can happen. Mutations can happen. But the energy signature for a person like me, Star, who do energy healing work, we see this.
Yeah.
We can see it, we can feel it, we can know it, and we work with our ancestors because we can heal our ancestors energetically. Now, what have they given us? What have they given us? They've given us all of their experiences, all of their knowledge, all of their whatever they ate, whatever they knew, whatever, wherever they lived. That's the experience we get from them. And it's in us. That's what Dr. Bruce Lipton talks about in his book, The Biology of Belief. He talks about, hey, it's not really so much he talks about DNA. It's not so much about the DNA. He says it's about epigenetics. It's about the experiences that the cell has, and you read that in the cell membrane with these little polyprotein things, little peptide antennas sticking out of the cell membrane. That's how one cell communicates with another cell, communicates with another cell. But all that stuff ultimately is recorded in the body. It's recorded into the physical body. When you die, you're not dead. Your body's gone, but your energy is still here. I know I'm getting a little woo-woo here, but this is so important for the mindset of how people heal. Because the traditional mindset of how people heal is, oh gosh, if I'm sick, I'm going to go to the doctor. And everything that the doctor has is based on a treatment of an illness, whether it's a drug therapy, a chemotherapy, drug therapy, something off the shelf, an invasive cut something or zap it. That's what it's based on. It's not based on emotionals. It's not based on spirituality. It's not based on toxicity. It's not based on anything that I've talked about so far. All of this has been completely ignored. And so for us to begin to feel the potential of Avini products, we have to tune in to what the potential of the human form is. The potential of the human form is unlimited. unlimited. But we have to start thinking that way. Yeah?
I have a question.
Sure.
Did I understand somebody to say that you can change or mutate your DNA?
It's always changing. It's always mutating. Always.
Well, I mean, I watch a lot of criminal shows and whatever, and you can go back and, get people that study this and find, that you came from whatever.
Yep.
So can that change, that now they perhaps can't do that because somebody's mutated along the way and now their DNA has changed?
Element here is time. Mutations happen over long periods of time, eons, generations. So you can go back to the scientists who studied evolution, for example, and find that, okay, the original dog resembles kind of, sort of, dogs we have today. There's some similarity in their DNA, but they're not exact. You see what I'm saying? There's some genetic similarity between some kind of primate and another kind of primate. You can find genetic similarities all over the place, but it takes a long time for it to change. It's not going to change that much in a crime scene. That's not going to happen. Good question, though. Any other questions? Okay. Well, Bev, I would love for you to talk to us a little bit, since we're talking about vibration today and how to raise your vibration. We talk about raising our vibration by getting the toxins out, getting out the nasty living things that don't belong there, raising your vibration that way with our Avini products. And, in the work that I do, okay, tuning forks, maybe essential oils, crystals, those things, because those are all energy beings that we can use. I use those. But as far as Avini products go, we can raise our vibration really fast. We can do that really fast. Now, in business, when we're doing Avini business, let's talk about how it feels in your body to be doing Avini business and how you raise your vibration for that. Bev, we had a chat last night. Would you like to start with that?
Well, yes, I was telling Rosemary about my friends that I've lost this week. And so that our emotions takes us down or brings us up. And one thing I find really helps that is our Energy Plus. And it's quite amazing the adaptogens that are in that and how it's made. And it helps our energy and it helps our emotions. And I find that with our products, that's what they do. They help us rise above things. And of course, words from our own mouths makes an incredible difference. And when we're speaking to people, we're going to be speaking positively and telling them how the products work and how it applies to them individually. And that's, I guess, my nursing background maybe, but that's where I really get excited, and that helps my energy come up because I love helping people, and that's what we're doing. We're improving their health with these products. And so Rosemary, our energy is improved by our emotions, and they can be improved with our products.
I love that you brought up the Energy Plus. We didn't talk about that last night, but yeah, if I can share a little bit. When I talked to Bev last night, I mean, this was was it yesterday she passed away?
Yes. I talked to you about 1:30 this morning, actually, my time.
37 years old. And Bev had been talking to me a little while before that. She says, I'm trying to get her to look at what we have. And I'm trying, right? And what her situation was pretty dire. This gal in Arizona, very dire. And there wasn't anything to get through to this gal. And I will venture to say that because she was so ill, her vibration was very low. Because when you don't feel good, when you've been told a diagnosis and maybe even given a time limit, that it's really hard emotionally to raise your vibration. It's almost impossible, right? Because the truth is, the physical body here, this physical thing is, even though Star, you said the measurement is 1.4 volts, that's almost dead. I mean, 1 volt?
That's per cell.
Okay, but almost dead.
Yeah.
You know, because the spiritual energy is so much more profound. It's so much bigger and powerful. It takes a lot of energy to come into physical form. And so if anybody were to measure, and doctors have measured, the book for the body electric, Dr. Robert O. Becker, who did experiments with regenerating tissue, especially in salamanders. It's an amazing book. I call it amazing. I'm a scientist. I like that stuff. But the energy of a healthy body is really high, but the energy of a not healthy body is very low. So when you're trying to reach somebody who is not feeling good, it's harder. It really is harder to get through. It's harder to convince them, here, try this, you know, maybe sneak in a little energy plus if you can, get some cell defender in their water, you know, be sneaky about it. That's okay. I don't think they'll mind.
I want to mention that she was an exceptional person and very positive, and she was determined. They gave her 2 weeks, and I mean, this is 4 or 5 months later, right?
Wow.
And I mean, she was fighting for everything, and because she was so positive, and because they'd given her that timeline, even with their chemicals and radiation, etc., they were just doing that for comfort. She But it depends if you just want to listen to one person, even if it's a naturopath, instead of making your own decisions, you know. So we got to realize that my dad always told me, he said, make your own decisions, never let anybody determine your decisions. And and so I see sometimes people, at least for a while, temporarily, especially when you're in a fix like that, you don't know what to do, right? So we might say, okay, I'm going to a homeopath or a naturopath, or I'm going to do this or that, whatever they say. And so until we take things in control, and then we do everything that we say, but hopefully it's not too late by then, you know? And so God's in control, I know, but still, I always believe prevention is better than treatment. And that's why we need to be talking to well people now to keep them healthy.
Oh, that's an incredibly powerful point, Bev. Thank you so much for bringing that up, because it's really easy for us to be thinking about how we can help people. I'm going to use a term, but please take it lightly. Chasing ambulances, right? It's, you know, it's a term. The idea is, oh, you're sick. Here, let me help you. I have something that can help you. But we want to be talking to people before that. We want to be talking to well people when their vibration is higher, and they are more likely to listen and not need some sort of intervention from the other side. That, you know, truthfully, they've got that in their back pocket already. They already know, because they subscribe to insurance. They have been trained by our culture. If you're sick, go to the doctor. They've been trained by television and advertising that if you're sick, take this, right? There's very little support for this kind of vibrational medicine stuff. Very little. I don't know where it exists unless you bump into somebody like me. So you're absolutely right, Bev, that when you say God is in charge, well, God is in charge, but God has given us free will. And what's our belief system?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So we have to work on our belief system, and we have to ask the questions about your belief system. What's your belief system? Have some of these hard conversations. Before we started recording today, I was talking to Marilyn about following up with people who were at an event where she was presenting. And the following up, when you sit down and have coffee with these people or tea or whatever you're going to do, get together with them, it's really important for me to know this. I'd like to ask you a question. Is it okay if I ask you a question? Yeah. Get permission first, right? And then ask, I'm just trying to understand, what would you do if there were a serious situation? Tell me what your thought process is. What would you do if this happened to you? Where are you at with that? And here's where you can find out if they're open. Now, Bev cuts right to the chase. Hey, are you open? Right?
Yeah.
Are you open? But I'd like to know, what's your thought process? Most people go automatically to, oh, I've got insurance, I'll go see my doctor. But maybe not. Maybe not. So keeping your vibration high physically, emotionally, spiritually, and the words that come out of your mouth, as Bev was saying, let's make those positive too. So here Bev is the day after her friend has passed away. She's wearing black. And I said to Bev, can you be on the call tomorrow? She said, I'll try. Yes. And why, Bev, why are you here today?
Because I want to make a difference and help other people.
That's right.
And so we can prevent people from going there, right? Prevention is key.
Oh my gosh, I just want to cry. It's so important. Yeah, good tears. Because what you said is so profound. It is easy for people to be brought down. It's easy for people to be frustrated and disappointed, discouraged. How many no's did you get, Star?
34.
34 no's you got. Well, we're going to change the way we ask those questions, but yay, you got 34 no's. Okay, we're due for a yes. But we don't stop. We never stop because we have a belief system that the body can heal. And it's a different way of healing, maybe. It's a different belief system. Mm-hmm. And that's why Bev is here, because her belief system is much stronger than being brought down. Yeah, Star.
Couple things about diagnosis and illnesses. Keep in mind that doctor is a human being who's fallible, and he may give you the wrong diagnosis. And your reaction to that diagnosis is going to be a vibrational reaction. What if he's wrong? What if she's wrong?
Well, if I go to a doctor.
Why would you continue going to a doctor when you know in your heart you've got something that will work, no matter what the diagnosis is?
Did that happen to you, Star? Did that happen?
Yep.
What happened? Will you tell us?
Sure. I had been diagnosed with asthma since I've been 5 years old, but it never made a lot of sense to me because I've always been an athlete, but I would get out of breath. But they wanted me to take steroids. They had 3 or 4 medications. One of them was a nebulizer, a breathing machine where you breathe in steroids. Well, what they finally found, my naturopath was the one who found it. He did a blood test and he said, it's something wrong with your heart enzyme. And long story short, when they did the surgery, they found a hole in my heart. That's why I couldn't breathe. It had nothing to do with asthma.
Wow.
And that was 70 years of misdiagnosis.
Wow.
So
well, something else going on too. I mean, that's profound. That's huge. But also a few years ago, you had some bad cells growing in you, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And you actually took one of those doses, one series or one dose?
One dose.
Just one dose.
Mm-hmm.
Just one dose. And it didn't feel good in your body, right?
Right.
And
I didn't know.
didn't a book basically fall off the shelf and hit you?
Oh, this was years ago when I did have a lot of bad cells. I was in Powell's bookstore, which is one of my favorite places.
Uh-huh.
And I was walking in the self-help section because I needed a lot of help at that point. And this book literally fell off the shelf and hit me on the shoulder. And it was Deepak Chopra's book, Perfect Health.
Perfect health.
And if you read anything about Ayurvedic medicine, it talks a lot about self-healing. It talks not only about the fact that you're taking food and air and water into your body, you're watching a violent TV show, you're listening to the news. It isn't just what you're ingesting that way, it's what you're ingesting mentally and spiritually and emotionally. And it all makes a composite whole. So it's not just one thing.
That's right. So what you just talked about was miasms,
Mm-hmm.
the energy signature of something that has,
Something that's there.
yeah, I'm going to use the word infected in quotes, because most times when people talk about infection, they're talking about, some sort of like a virus or something like that. But infection can happen from words,
Mm-hmm.
right? How many words get repeated and repeated and repeated until people believe them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's change our words for that kind of infection. And Bev, let's have some words from you today that can inspire us to raise our vibration when we're doing Avini as a business.
Well, words of joy and I always say humor. We need to do humor too because humor is healing, right? And so we just need to have joy. Like I went into a store just to pay a bill the other day, and there was this woman with beautiful boots on and this and that, and I just complimented her on it, and so we got into a conversation. So I do that all the time because it makes them feel good, and then we have a conversation, and everybody feels good because it's a higher vibration. It's not about this or that specifically, right? And so everybody feels better.
Yes. Yeah. Finding a way to make people laugh, start a conversation that isn't about something horrible or dire. These kinds of things can be infectious too. And that's the kind of infection we want to have. We want to affect people in a positive way. We want to be uplifting to ourselves and for others, because there are so many things that can bring us down. So many people in our lives that can bring us down. So many experiences, news out there in the world. So we have to do the internal work. We have to do this heart-to-heart work with ourselves and stay connected. I'm just delighted that you are all here listening to this. I'm going to close the call and be still here on the Zoom for a few minutes if you have any questions. All right, fair enough? Yeah. Okay. Let me end.
Rosemary, this is adorable.